Welcome to another installment of Deconstructing Babylon, where we discern the signs and symbols of the mystery religion of Hollywood Babylon. I'm the discerning clerk, and I use a biblical framework to deconstruct my favorite movies from the 90s. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope you'll stick around. My content is quite niche, I do understand that. But if you're here, I believe it's on purpose. Either you've been awakened to the lies and darkness in the world, and you're going down the rabbit hole, or the Spirit of the living God is beckoning you to his wonderful light. My goal here is to point you back to the truth found in his word, because my content shouldn't be taken too seriously, but his word should be. I take Yahweh at his word, and I hope you will too. We are venturing out of the 90s again with today's selection, Back to the Future. This is another suggestion from one of you faithful viewers, so thank you for commenting and recommending. I appreciate you. I know I'm not the first commentator to break down this film, so hopefully I can speak about things that you haven't heard yet. Back to the Future was released in 1985 and receives 4.5 stars from the Video Movie Guide, which says, Michael J. Fox as a teenager who is zapped back in time by mad scientist Christopher Lloyd. Once there, Fox meets his parents as teenagers, an act that could result in disaster. The first 15 minutes of this film are pretty bad, but once Fox gets back to where he doesn't belong, it's terrific entertainment. Rated PG. Well, now I'm going to pay more attention to the first 15 minutes. Okay, let's jump right in and see what we see in Back to the Future. We hear clocks ticking before we see the clocks. So many clocks that show the very specific time of 7:53. We are also shown some framed articles regarding Brown Mansion. Not the color brown, the family brown. Then some black and white framed photos of Albert Einstein, Ben Franklin, and Thomas Edison, famous scientists and inventors, supposedly. A slow pan to a news anchor reporting on stolen plutonium by Libyan terrorists. Plutonium is so named for the former planet. Pluto was named, as all wandering stars are, for a Greco-Roman god. Pluto was the Roman god of the underworld. His Greek equivalent is Hades. Plutonium itself is a radioactive element and was successfully used in the Manhattan Project during World War II in the creation of the first atomic bombs. Okay, back to the movie. A can of dog food is opened and dumps into an already full food dish with the name Einstein on it. The door opens and we meet our main time traveler, Marty McFly. He rolls his skateboard that hits a hidden case of plutonium. A clue. This strange place with the radioactive element belongs to the mad scientist, Dr. Emmett Brown.
Hey, Doc, where are you?
Doc Brown asks Marty to meet him that night at a local mall. Marty takes off for school, catching rides through a town called Hill Valley, which sounds like a contradiction. We briefly meet Marty's girlfriend Jennifer, who will be recast in the subsequent sequels. That afternoon, we are confronted with more clock symbolism.
30 years ago, lightning struck that clock tower, and the clock hasn't run since.
Marty gets home around dusk and sees the family car is wrecked. He lives in a subdivision named Lion Estates, and they use the animal as the representation, but it's spelled with a Y, not an I, and that seems like a counterfeit. Once inside the McFly home, we meet Marty's mild-mannered father, George, who cannot stand against the man who is responsible for the damage done to the car, Biff Tannen.
I want to know who's going to pay for this. I spilled beer all over when that car smashed into me. Who's going to pay my cleaning bill?
In case it's not clear, Biff is a bully and has been since high school. Biff and George work together, yet George is the one who does Biff's work for him.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right. But, Biff just happens to be my supervisor, and I'm afraid I'm just not very good at confrontations.
Marty doesn't seem to care that his dad is a timid pushover, he just cares that he can't use the car. Right away, we meet the rest of the McFly family. Marty's brother Dave, sister Linda, and mother Lorraine. The siblings don't play a big part in the franchise, but their existence is threatened by what follows.
Come here and kiss your mother before you go. Come here.
Come on, Mom, make it fast.
Lorraine tells her children, again, the story of how her and George fell in love as she gulps a glass of straight vodka. No one in this family seems particularly happy or healthy, and maybe that's the point. After midnight, Marty heads out to meet Doc Brown at Twin Pines Mall. The symbolism I've seen others cover is the time, as it turns 1:16 a.m., which doesn't mean anything really until you turn it upside down, and it's 9/11. Now, I totally know the enemy uses counterfeit and inverted truth, and as such, Hollywood Babylon employs the same tactics. For me, I think we'll be able to see examples throughout without trying so hard. Finally, we meet a shaggy dog, Einstein, and a dog in a movie is the blatant use of the occultic law of reversal, in my opinion. The breed here is less important than the name. The dog that belongs to a mad scientist is named for a mad scientist, so clearly Doc Brown worships science and discovery. The time-traveling DeLorean is revealed, and so is its inventor, Dr. Emmett Brown.
Marty, you made it!
Yeah.
Doc Brown uses his dog as a test subject for time travel, recorded for posterity.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Now, 88 does mean something to me. The dual infinity signs represent the analema, or the sun and moon in their courses. Perhaps a nod to the creator, but generally it is worship of the great lights of the day and night, and the duality they represent.
Ah, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, Doc.
The curse words are another symbol, if you can believe it. Hearing the name Jesus Christ used to offend me when spoken like a slur, but now I know that isn't Messiah's name, and when Hollywood Babylon uses it, even a derogatory way, it's an homage to the Antichrist, the one who bears the name Jesus Christ, the one who stands in place of and against the true Savior.
Where the hell are they?
The appropriate question is, when the hell are they?
Hell must have frozen over because the time machine DeLorean is covered in ice. But Einstein is safe inside, making his experiment a wild success. Doc Brown explains how his machine works and says you can travel to any point in time.
A witness the birth of Christ?
Notice how he puts December 25th, 0 year. Of course, we know that isn't the birth date of Messiah, as it was most likely in 2 or 3 BC, not 0. Additionally, unless you can enter geographical coordinates, you'll just end up in the same location.
I remember when this was all farmland as far as the eye could see.
Doc Brown confesses on camera that he stole the plutonium from the Libyan nationalists. Instead of building them a bomb like they asked, he used it to power the DeLorean.
They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Marty watches as his friend is gunned down by the men he betrayed. To escape, Marty gets into the DeLorean and drives like mad, reaching the required 88 miles per hour and arriving in Hill Valley in 1955. What was the Twin Pines Mall is Twin Pines Ranch, until Marty destroys one. The references to twins is usually a nod to the Twin Towers, the targets of 9/11, and the twin pillars Boaz and Jachin in a Freemason temple. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention that Marty himself wears red and blue, the two colors associated with the twin pillars. And we see a lot of these two colors in the town from the past. Speaking of twinning, 17-year-old Marty encounters his own dad, George, at 17 years old.
Hey, McFly!
And good old bully Biff is up to his same old antics. Marty doesn't quite realize that changing the past can drastically impact the future, so he doesn't realize the implications when he intervenes in his parents' meet-cute.
Another one of these damn kids jumped in front of my car!
Instead of George, Lorraine develops feelings for Marty, and it's all very Oedipal. Anyway, Marty finally does something smart and tracks down Doc Brown on the very night he says he discovered the secret to time travel. He has Einstein as a puppy, but that would make the other Einstein from 1985 30 years old, which doesn't seem possible.
I'm from the future. I came here in a time machine that you invented.
The two drive out to the hidden DeLorean, and Marty hopes the younger Doc can get it to work and get him home. But the Doc despairs that it's just not possible in 1955.
If we could somehow harness this lightning.
Without the required plutonium, Doc understands he can use the power in lightning to power the DeLorean. But the lightning storm is more than a week away. What is Marty to do in the meantime?
You must not see anybody or talk to anybody. Anything you do could have serious repercussions on future events. Do you understand?
That's what I said, but Marty has already caused damage to the future. Marty must repair the damage, make sure his parents do fall in love, and save his own and his siblings' very lives. So he goes back to school, and I immediately notice the checkerboard floor in the hallway.
What are you writing? Stories. Science fiction stories about visitors coming down to Earth from other planets.
There is an awful lot of talk about spacemen or aliens. It's referenced frequently throughout. Perhaps it's just a sign of the times and a fascination with what may be beyond the firmament.
Silence, Earthling! My name is Darth Vader.
Marty gets to work to have George step up with Lorraine, and once again, Marty earns her admiration when he stands up to Biff.
Oh my God, he's a dream.
Biff will not be made to look like a fool, so he chases Marty down to get revenge, and ends up getting covered in manure. Back at the Doc's lab, he devises a plan to harness the lightning strike into the flux capacitor, the device that makes time travel possible. Lorraine tracks Marty down, and we get a clear shot of the globe Earth. Marty agrees to take Lorraine to the school dance, and he and George come up with a plan to give George a chance to rescue her.
Hey, you, get your damn hands off her. You really think I ought to swear?
Yes, definitely. God damn it, George, swear.
The night of the dance arrives, which is under the sea themed. And after all the space and planets talk, this feels like the other side of the same coin, or more duality, especially since Neptune is so named for the Roman god of the sea, whose brother is Pluto. I've pointed out a fair amount of red and blue duality throughout, which is further exemplified by the Pepsi logo. And on the stage at the dance, the logo has been flipped, or inverted. The plan Marty and George came up with goes ahead, but with different players. George rescues Lorraine from Biff instead of Marty, and in so doing, learns how brave he can be, and earns Lorraine's admiration.
Are you okay?
But until they kiss, Marty's future is disappearing, literally. When the young lovers finally do, George becomes a new kind of man, and all is well for the McFlys.
I have a feeling about you too.
I have a feeling too.
Now Marty has to race to see Doc Brown so he can travel back to his own time. You didn't think I was actually going to say it, did you?
Everything will be fine.
But everything is not fine. The wire comes unplugged, the car won't start, Doc Brown nearly falls off the ledge. The timing has to be perfect. But this is a movie we're talking about, so of course it all works out. Other commentators have noticed another 9/11 in this scene. The 9 in the neon sign, and the 11 in the tire tracks left by the DeLorean. This could be another pointer to that fateful day in 2001, or the true birth date of Messiah.
Crazy drunk driver.
Once in 1985, Marty races to save Doc Brown before he's shot by the Libyans. We already see some of the changes he's affected by his infiltrating presence in the past. The Twin Pines Mall is now the Lone Pine Mall. One pillar fell, and one remains. Marty has been trying to warn Doc Brown about being shot, urging him to take precautions. Doc Brown didn't want any foreknowledge of the future, but eventually he must have taken measures because now he's wearing a protective vest.
What about all that talk about screwing up future events, the space-time continuum?
Doc brings Marty home before he himself travels to the future, the year 2015. The next morning, we really see how life has changed for Marty and his siblings.
I always wear a suit to the office.
Yet life for his parents, George and Lorraine, has especially changed. They're happy, healthy, and seem more content. No more drinking, no more disconnect. Even Biff has been transformed.
I'm sorry, Mr. McFly.
Before anyone can get too comfortable, Doc Brown returns from 2015. And he's made some upgrades to the DeLorean, which is now powered by compostable garbage and can also fly.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
The final image is the DeLorean flying into the camera on its way to another time. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the symbolism, I think it's important to remember that this movie has the direct involvement of Steven Spielberg. Not only does Steven Spielberg have a wild imagination when it comes to stories, he is most likely a high-ranking Freemason, given his success and longevity in the industry. And though I called it his imagination, it is my belief that a lot of the stories he's created have come through a process called automatic writing, whereby a spirit takes over his body or his mind for a time and writes the story for him. So we need to always consider that though this and other sci-fi movies seem fantastical, there is an element of their truth within, especially when we look at a character like Dr. Emmett Brown. What is he a doctor of exactly? They never say. But the title itself gives the character an air of authority and knowledge. He's meant to know it all and be trusted. So when things like globe Earth, gravity, and time travel are all associated with his character, we are meant to believe it. The numerous mentions of space, aliens, space travelers, and planets was staggering. I talked a fair amount about the wandering stars, but I think it bears repeating. Pluto, which is no longer considered a planet and isn't really one of the 7 wandering stars, still bears the name of the Roman god of the underworld. We saw that referenced with the plutonium, the nuclear-capable element that brings death. Neptune, the god of the sea, and the enchantment under the sea dance. There was even a statue of Neptune there, along with a mermaid, or siren. These aren't mistakes. Filmmakers are telling us these symbols, these gods, are real to them. This sends the message that Neptune is capable of either enchanting people or using sirens to do this and bring people to himself. All the clocks and references to time, broken time, and time travel are all pointers to Kronos, or Saturn. He was the god of time and the father of both Pluto and Neptune. And because time is always associated with Doc Brown, it seems like he himself represents this particular wandering star that is also known as Satan. When Doc Brown says he can harness the power in lightning, it feels like a reference to Zeus, the god of the sky, the counterfeit Most High. And Zeus is also known as Jupiter. The Freemason symbolism was pretty rampant. The red and blue duality was constant, especially in scenes in 1955. Marty wore both colors in 1985, but then mostly stuck to red when he time traveled, and George and Lorraine both wore blue most of the time. The checkerboard floor in the school, but no black and white duality otherwise. The 9/11 references could be predictive programming, but we really didn't see any other references to New York or airplanes or anything like that, other than Libyan terrorists and the bombs they wanted to create, but that's not necessarily the impression I got. Mostly it feels like a reference to the actual birth date of the Messiah and the way the Freemasons tend to obscure that day. Finally, Marty's initials, MM. This is a pointer to the highest master level in the Secret Society, as the MM on its side looks like 33. We also see this with initials WW for the same reason, and CC, as C is the 3rd letter in the English alphabet. Before I leave it at that, I felt like there was some subtle Trinity symbolism, specifically between Marty, George, and Lorraine. With the way Lorraine misplaced her affection for her own son, it reminded me of the story of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. Tammuz is a false Christ figure, born at Christmas, died at Easter, the image of the sun, and so demands sun worship. His mother, Semiramis, believed her son was the incarnation of his father, Nimrod, and so she married her son after he was resurrected. In the Catholic Church, when we see images of Mary and the Christ child, this is actually a picture of Semiramis and Tammuz. So that's enough for today. I hope I brought something up that was new to you, even if it's difficult to believe or hard to hear. As always, don't take my word for it. Know the word for yourself. Give the video a thumbs up if you agree and a thumbs down if you disagree. Comment below what you think I missed with this one and to suggest any 90s movie you'd like me to deconstruct in the future. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this, but don't follow me. Follow the one who saves you. And until next time, keep looking up.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.